Hello friends, and welcome to Gratitude Happens, where we are on a journey to discover all things holistic health. That's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and otherwise. My name is Alex, and today we are going to discuss the 3 biggest challenges that I have faced as a professional yoga teacher. Let's go for a walk. Before we get to today's topic, and while we're on our little morning stroll, I want to provide some context to why I became a yoga teacher in the first place. So first things first, I did not become a yoga teacher to make money. Nobody becomes a yoga teacher to make money. It's very difficult to do that. The reason I became a yoga teacher, as cliche as it sounds, is because yoga saved my life. I discovered yoga during a time in my life when I was struggling with a lot of anxiety and depression. So when I decided to become a yoga teacher, it was not for monetary reasons. It wasn't even for the physical practice that was taking place. It was all about the internal transformative practice that can happen. So I say all that to let you know that if I was able to, in my ideal world, I would just walk around giving away all of my yoga teachings for free. Which leads me to the first obstacle I found being a yoga teacher, which is placing a monetary value on what I do. But before we move on, we're gonna go do some yoga. So now that we've had our physical practice and a little bit of saucha, I want to discuss doing something that you love. Being a starving artist. Doing something that you would absolutely do for free if you could, but then you realize that you have to pay rent. When I first started teaching yoga, I had to teach 15 to 20 classes a week, which is not sustainable. At various other times, I had to have 3 extra odd jobs on the side just to pay bills, which means I didn't have any time to practice myself. The advice that I wish I could give myself back then is know your worth, or at least know what you'd like to be worth. Have that idea in your mind. What would I have to charge in order to be stable monetarily where I live with my lifestyle? And at the same time, you don't have to charge that much. In order to get work, you probably have to charge less. Work on a sliding scale. But definitely work. Let people know how much you are worth, and let them know that you work on a sliding scale if you need to. I think the trickiest part is finding the balance. If you're able to get to the point where you're working for a rate that's really high, then offer back a little bit. Start doing a little bit more work for free. But if you're doing so much work for free where you cannot hold yourself together, then always remember that you have to take care of yourself first before you can take care of anyone else. Before we get to point 2, let's get some breakfast. Now that we're all fed and happy, let's get to the second biggest challenge that I've faced as a professional yoga teacher, which is trying to understand yoga as a business. My understanding of business is giving people what they want so that they will give you money. My understanding of yoga is giving people what they need so that they can transform. And frankly, those clash a lot of the time. In yoga, we often say, like begets like. If you really enjoy doing sit-ups, then you're gonna keep doing sit-ups. And if you really dislike doing Warrior One, you're gonna stray away from doing Warrior One. But probably what your body is telling you is that you need to do fewer sit-ups and you need to do more Warrior One. I think that my biggest goal here is to find a balance between giving people what they want so that they can trust me a little bit more, and then starting to give them what they need. If you're watching this as a yoga practitioner, I highly encourage you to lean more into the poses or the practices that challenge you. Take all of those practices that you do not want to do and take them as a challenge, as a way to progress further in your yoga practice and in your life. Which all leads me to the third and final challenge that I faced as a yoga teacher. But we have a much better setting for that. So I think today's hike is a perfect segue from the second challenge that I face into the third. Tara and I planned this hike for Friday. It is currently Sunday. We switched our plans so that we could include some other people in the hike. When it finally came time to come on the hike, it ended up just being the two of us anyway. When you're dealing with larger groups of people, like teaching a yoga class or planning a hike, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to give everyone what they want or what they need. The final challenge that I placed upon myself when being a yoga teacher is trying to please everyone. Don't misunderstand. You should certainly continue to try to grow as a yoga teacher and as a person, and that comes from feedback from your students, friends, and family. But in the end, you have to offer what you have to offer as a yoga teacher. So if people don't like the class that you have or the practice that you have, that's their experience, and you get to have your own. So just like on this hike, when Tara and I decided to change our plans, we did it knowing that whether we showed up and it was just us, or whether there were 20 people to come on this hike with us, that we were going to have a great time, and then we get to have our own experience. And we trust that other people are making the decisions that they need to make in order to better themselves, in order to fulfill their own needs. And then eventually in the future, our paths will cross again. So in conclusion, if you find yourself trying to please everyone, then I highly encourage you to put less stock in how other people feel about you and worry a bit more about yourself. Here's the bottom line of what I'm trying to say. When you make decisions about your teaching or about your life, make decisions that are going to fill you up first. If you make a compromise for other people, make sure it's a compromise that you're going to enjoy whether other people are there or not. And then, at some point, you just gotta stop and enjoy the moment. It was a wonderful picnic, and we just finished a very short meditation. But it was a very nice meditation. And as the sun goes down now, I wanted to tie up everything that I've said so far with something I helped realize in my meditation. In partner yoga, we talk a lot about not feeling like you're being leaned on. And the whole idea is that you have to stand tall in your own body. You have to be able to stand tall by yourself in order to stand tall with others. And that two people standing tall on their own together might be unstoppable. We're gonna really enjoy the rest of the hike home. So I'm gonna put you away. See you there. We're not home yet. But we decided that how can we end a hike without getting frozen yogurt? That's a small. This is a small. And it's so huge. Tiramisu and peanut butter. We're gonna eat it all. Thank you so much for sticking around this far. If you're a yoga teacher and you've had some similar experiences or completely different experiences, I'd love to hear about them in the comments. And if you're in a different profession, I'd love for you to compare and contrast. Gratitude Happens is about making a community of people who are trying to grow in their holistic health journeys. If you got some value out of this video, let YouTube know by hitting the thumbs up. And then if you want to see more content revolved around holistic health and gratitude, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications so that I can see you here for the next video. Again, thank you so much for stopping by, and until next time, keep making gratitude happen.